It's the beginning of 1727 here in New Haven. The treasury now holds just over 3,000 coins, about 1,000 more than when we first broke ground. Every coin has been earned through trade and hard work, without taking a single loan. New Haven was founded on self-reliance, and that foundation is finally paying off. But with smelters waiting to come online this spring, there's one thing we still don't have enough of: workers. To keep the town growing and prepare for the coming industrial push, I placed 6 new homes across New Haven. Our population has been stretched thin, and we've reached the point where every new industry demands more workers. These homes will bring in fresh families, strengthen the labor force, and make it possible to finally get the smelters running by spring. I had to make a tough decision. Progress on other buildings slowed, so I dismissed 3 workers from their posts to free up labor for the smelter. Even with that, only 2 workers took the job, but it was enough to get production started. Once the first loads of ore and charcoal reached the furnaces, the smelter came alive. From here, the goal is simple: keep the fires hot long enough to supply our own iron to the smithy and finally stop importing. With several new families settling in, New Haven finally has the workforce it needs. The smelter is now running at full speed. The furnaces are burning, and production has begun in earnest. From here, the challenge is time. We've got 7 months before winter returns, and in that window, the goal is simple: produce enough iron to last until next spring. If we can meet that mark, New Haven will enter the next year completely self-sufficient in metalwork. As the months passed, the smelter started to fall behind, and the mining camp kept working faster than we could process the ore. Before long, the mine's storage was completely full. Rather than let the miners sit idle, I reassigned them to another mine to keep production balanced. At the same time, I had the builder construct a new storage yard right beside the smelter. That short distance makes all the difference. Now we can move ore directly from storage to the furnaces without delay. It's a small adjustment, but it keeps New Haven's industry running smoothly. While editing this footage, I realized I made a mistake I never caught during gameplay. Earlier in the year, I sold a batch of metal parts, but forgot to mark the shipment as temporary. After that sale, the trading post kept pulling every new part the smithy produced straight back out for export. Before long, there weren't any metal parts left in town to repair carts. And as if that wasn't bad enough, I also discovered I'd done the same thing with iron. Every bar the smelter produced was being shipped out as fast as it was made. No iron means no nails, no metal parts, no repairs. Basically, New Haven was on the verge of an industrial freeze. But by some incredible luck, the smith still had a small supply of iron stored inside the building, and items held in buildings aren't marked for sale. That little bit of iron saved the town from a complete shutdown. It's a close call, but a good reminder: always double-check the trading post before you sell your lifeline. After realizing the mistake with the metal parts, I removed metal parts from the trading post inventory and left everything else in place. Then I checked every cart in town to see if any had broken down. Fortunately, none were. It looks like I caught the problem just in time. From now on, I'll be keeping a closer watch on the trading post, so essential materials stay right here in New Haven. With a worker shortage pressing down on me, I laid out plans for new houses. The town's industries are running, but every new building strains the workforce just a little more. More homes mean more families, and that's the only way to keep New Haven growing and the furnaces burning. As 1728 begins, it's time to expand New Haven's processing operation. 2 additional smelters are being added to keep up with demand and make better use of the mining output. With the extra capacity, the goal is to supply multiple smithies with a steady flow of iron for producing metal parts and horseshoes, while also exporting surplus iron for trade. This marks the start of New Haven's next phase, growing from a small production town into a full industrial hub. With the new smelters planned, New Haven also needs the infrastructure to keep them running. More charcoal piles are being added to meet the growing demand for fuel, along with extra car sheds to move materials between the mines, smelters, and storage sites. Additional storage areas for iron are also being built nearby to shorten travel time and prevent bottlenecks. To further support industrial growth, plans have also been laid out for 2 limestone kilns and a lime works. These will supply construction materials and strengthen future building projects across town. At the same time, new housing is being planned to bring in more families and expand the labor force needed to operate all these facilities. Once this foundation is complete, new smithies will be added later to take full advantage of the increased iron output and continue New Haven's transformation into a true industrial hub. As the year moves on, New Haven is running smoothly, but the workforce is stretched thin again. To keep essential jobs filled, I had to cut back the number of workers in both the mine and the smelters to 2 each. It's not ideal, but it keeps production going while freeing up labor for new construction. The next step is to plan out more housing to bring in new families and strengthen the workforce. Once the homes are built, production can return to full capacity without slowing other parts of the town. Also, to make things easier for workers and laborers, I built another bridge across the river. The original bridge was forcing everyone to travel all the way around town to reach the industrial area, wasting time and slowing down production. This new bridge acts as a shortcut, keeping supplies and labor moving efficiently between both sides of New Haven. It's a small addition, but one that makes a big difference in the town's daily rhythm. Looking back on the layout, if I had to plan the smelters and their supporting infrastructure again, I'd place them closer to the housing. That would shorten travel times and keep workers more efficient without changing the overall design. There's still room to add a trading dock nearby, so the industrial area could have stayed compact. I've also thought about moving one of the farm fields farther out from town. Right now, it's blocking potential housing expansion, and workers have to travel a long way between job sites. These are the kinds of lessons that come from experience, refining the balance between production, housing, and accessibility. As 1729 comes to a close, New Haven's treasury has grown to around 6,000 coins, the strongest it's been since the town was founded. Careful planning, balanced production, and smart trade have paid off. The town now has a solid financial base heading into 1730, ready to support further growth and expansion. It's the start of 1730. I began planning the location for New Haven's future trading dock. It's an important step toward expanding trade, but right now the workforce is already stretched thin. If I built it this year, there wouldn't be enough workers to staff it properly. For now, the plan is to wait until next year once more families arrive and the labor force grows. It's better to take the time to prepare than to rush and risk slowing the town's progress. It's time to expand housing again. I'm building 6 new homes near the farm to bring in more families and strengthen the workforce. The town is starting to stretch farther from the industrial area, and I've realized that future housing should be closer to the smelters to cut down on worker travel time. I've also been considering moving some of the farm fields to open up space for that expansion, but that will have to wait until next year. Too much change right now could cause more problems than it solves. For the moment, my focus is on getting the smelters fully set up and running smoothly before making any major adjustments. With the new bridge completed, workers have started using it regularly to travel between the industrial area and the housing district. It's already made a noticeable difference, cutting a lot of time off their daily travel. The shorter route keeps production flowing and makes it easier for laborers to move supplies across town. Small improvements like this really help the whole operation run more efficiently. I've been studying the layout of the farm fields to figure out the best way to expand housing. If I move 2 of the fields next winter, it'll open up a large area near the industrial district where I can build several new homes. That would help shorten worker travel time and keep production closer to where it's needed. For now, it's just a plan on paper, but it's one that could shape the next phase of New Haven's growth. Looking ahead, there are still several parts of New Haven's development we haven't started yet. The cattle sheds and tanneries, the salt mine, and the horse stables and sheds. Each of these will play an important role in expanding the town's economy and self-sufficiency. Before diving into those, though, I need to make sure the workforce is strong enough to handle them. Right now, we're already stretched thin between smelting, farming, and construction. Once the new houses are built and more families arrive, I'll begin preparing for the next stage. The plan is to focus on the trading dock and field relocation in 1731, then start introducing livestock and tannery production after that. By pacing the expansion this way, we can keep the town stable while steadily building toward a complete industrial network. I've talked about this before, but it's worth repeating. When placing wells, always keep them away from rivers and lakes, since that water isn't drinkable. And never leave the use for production box checked. That's very important. In one of my earlier towns, I made that mistake. I left all the wells marked for production. When the lime works started up, the workers and laborers drained every well in town dry. Within weeks, half the population left before I could fix it. Since then, I always build a small platform at the river for them to fetch industrial water from. It's also a good idea to build about 1 well for every 6 to 8 houses. That way, even during a very dry year, everyone has access to water and no family goes without. A little extra planning early on can save your town from a major crisis later. The lime works is now complete and ready for production. I've assigned the laborers to start stacking it with materials, and once that's done, we'll hopefully get a worker to take over. Lime has one main purpose here in New Haven. It's used in the tannery for processing hides into leather. This new lime works will form the foundation for that future industry once we're ready to begin leather production. To support the lime works, I've built a warehouse right next to it and set it to store up to 10,000 units of lime. Having a dedicated storage area here keeps hauling distances short and prevents overflow later on. Even though it may take a long time to use it all, this setup ensures the lime works can keep producing without interruption once the tannery comes online. I should have done this earlier. The forestry was pulling trees from both of its reforesting areas at the same time, which meant both zones were getting depleted evenly. I'm fixing that now, so only one area is active for logging while the other recovers. This is something that has to be watched closely. When the active area starts running low on trees, it's important to react quickly. Swap the checkboxes to shift logging to the other zone. Managing the forestry this way keeps the supply steady and prevents the town from ever running out of timber. Again, I can't stress this enough. Always check your wells before hiring workers for the lime works. Make sure none of them have the use for production box checked. Even I missed a few this time, and I'm fixing them now. If those wells stay marked for production, The lime works will drain them dry before you realize what's happening. It only takes a moment to check, but it can save the whole town from a water crisis later. Now that I've double-checked every well and made sure none are marked for production, it's finally time to hire workers for the lime works. With the water situation under control, production can begin safely. This is another big step forward for New Haven, our first step in a leather production down the road. As you can see, the lime works has a storage limit of 500 units. However, by using laborers to move the lime into the nearby warehouse, that limit never becomes a problem. This setup keeps production continuous and efficient. Because the laborers keep supplying water and quicklime while waiting on the finished product, the worker can keep processing lime without interruption. It's a simple system, but it runs like clockwork, steady inputs, steady output. With the warehouse able to hold up to 10,000 units, we can easily produce around 10,500 units of lime in just a few months. Well, it looks like we've really hit our stride with iron production. In just 2 months, the mining camp has produced over 6,000 units of iron, and the smelters are keeping up beautifully. Everything's running like clockwork, steady supply, steady processing. It's a good feeling when the whole system comes together and just works. The messenger from Marifa stopped by. I decided to sell off some of the surplus iron. We've been producing a lot lately, and it's starting to pile up. I sold 4,231 units in this trade. A solid deal that helps clear space while keeping the treasury growing. Now that the shipment's gone out, I can't help but wonder if the mines can keep up with this pace. The smelters are running like clockwork, and demand for iron is only going to rise as the town grows. It'll be interesting to see if production can stay ahead of trade without running down the stockpiles. By September, we've built up about 2,000 units of lime in the warehouse. Production's been steady. Unfortunately, one of the Limeworks employees left to take another job, so we're running short a worker for now. It's a small setback, but that's part of managing a growing town. As new families move in, we'll fill the position and keep the operation running at full capacity. I've been thinking about moving the farm across the river. Doing that would open up this entire area for new housing and place the farmland closer to where most of the workers live. It's a better layout for both efficiency and expansion. While I rebuild the farm, I plan to switch the crops over to flax and hemp. They'll supply textiles and thread for future industries and give us a steady, non-perishable product. We'll lose potatoes in the process, but they spoil quickly anyway, so the trade is well worth it. This move should make the town's economy more stable in the long run. As we reach the end of 1730, New Haven stands just a few months away from its 10th year. It's hard to believe that when we began, there were only 9 families and a few supplies to our name. Just a handful of people with enough hope and determination to carve a home out of the wilderness. Those early years were slow and uncertain. Every plank, every harvest, every coin mattered. But over time, the town found its rhythm. The first houses rose, farms spread out across the fields, and the forest began to echo with the sound of axes and saws. Little by little, New Haven grew into something solid, something lasting. Now, nearly a decade later, the picture has completely changed. The population has grown to 226. The treasury holds just over 7,000 coins, and the town hums with industry. The smelters, kilns, and limeworks run day and night, turning ore, limestone, and water into the lifeblood of a thriving economy. Laborers keep it all moving, hauling, stacking, and supplying, the unseen hands that make the whole system work. This year alone, we expanded housing, improved forestry management, completed the limeworks, and traded more than 4,000 units of iron to Marifa. Our stockpiles tell the story of a town ready for the future. Over 30,000 charcoal, 4,000 iron, and enough materials to build for years ahead. And we did it all without taking a single loan. Every coin earned, every building raised, and every family supported came from hard work and patience, not debt. It hasn't been without challenges, worker shortages, long planning sessions, and the constant balance of growth and stability. But every setback taught us something. As 1731 approaches, plans are already taking shape. A trading dock, a new farm across the river, and the beginnings of the leather industry that will take New Haven into its next decade. From 9 families and a few supplies to a bustling industrial town. 10 years of work, patience, and progress. New Haven is no longer just surviving. It's thriving. This is New Haven, 10 years strong. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.